Okay, so in the startup world, AI is the tool, right? It's supposed to be this incredible rocket fuel for innovation. But what if that exact same tool, when everyone uses it, actually ends up stunting growth? It's a huge paradox, and it's at the heart of a really fascinating paper by Richard A. Hunt and Rasim Sardar Kurdoglu. We're going to break down what they found. So right away, you can see the conflict. For an individual founder, AI is amazing. It's rocket fuel. You can brainstorm ideas, write pitches, analyze markets, you name it, it's faster and more efficient. But if you zoom out and look at the whole entrepreneurial ecosystem, the paper argues it could be this silent threat, slowly eating away at the very diversity and dynamism that fuels real innovation. And that really brings us to the core question we're digging into today. Is AI, this incredible new source of innovation, a true font of creativity? Or are we accidentally creating a kind of algorithmic deforestation? To figure that out, we've got to first understand how AI can be both things at the same time, how it can be this powerful creative partner and, potentially, a creativity killer. Okay, so here's the crucial point. An AI tool can absolutely help you, personally, come up with a better business idea. No question. But what happens when thousands or even millions of founders are all using similar tools, all trained on pretty much the same data? Well, it can start pushing everyone's ideas closer together, eroding the collective energy of the entire market. The paper gives us this fantastic metaphor to really get our heads around this tension. Let's just think about the difference between a rainforest and a plantation. This quote, this just nails it. It's basically saying that true innovation hubs, the rainforests, they don't thrive on order and perfect logic. They thrive on messiness, on unpredictability, on people doing things that don't always seem rational. They need that variance to flourish. And yep, this is what the authors call rainforest logic. A healthy ecosystem is supposed to be messy, you know? It's filled with all kinds of different people, weird ideas, a lot of failures, and just plain happy accidents. All that stuff that looks inefficient, that looks like waste, it's not. That's the fertile soil where the truly groundbreaking ideas grow. So you see it right here. On the left, you've got the rainforest, all about diversity, chance, and unexpected discoveries. On the right, the plantation, which is all about efficiency, predictability, and just scaling one thing uniformly. The paper's core argument is that AI, by its very nature, is pushing our innovation ecosystems away from the rainforest and toward the plantation model. Okay, so how exactly does this happen? I mean, what's the technical mechanism inside AI that's creating this push toward uniformity? Well, it all comes down to what you could call the logic of sameness. The fancy term for it is variance minimization, and it's basically hardwired into how AI works. Look, for an AI to be reliable and accurate, it's designed to reduce randomness. It has to. It filters out unusual data it sees as noise and sticks to the main patterns it learned from past data. It's built to be stable, not wild. This graph shows a classic balancing act in machine learning. To make a model stable and reliable, to get that low variance, you have to simplify things. Think of it like this. To give you a consistent, predictable answer, the AI has to ignore some of the weird, messy, outlier data. And getting rid of that messiness, that variance, is a core goal of the system.
And we see this playing out in the real world all the time. In predictive AI, maybe an accelerator uses an algorithm that ranks applicants based on the profiles of past winners. Well, what does that do? It filters out the rare, unusual founder who just doesn't fit the mold. It's designed to spot old patterns, not embrace new anomalies.
And it's the same story with generative AI. When you ask it to write a pitch deck, you might lower the temperature, which is basically just a creativity dial, to make the output more focused and less random. Or you use very specific prompts to make sure it conforms to a proven format. These are all just forms of variance minimization, all designed to channel creativity down a safer, more predictable path. So you can probably see where this is going. When an entire ecosystem starts relying on these variance minimizing tools day in and day out, we start to face what the authors call algorithmic deforestation. All right, I know this chart looks a little complex, but it lays out the entire argument beautifully. If you just follow the flow from the top, where AI minimizes variance, you can see how it creates individual benefits, like efficiency. That's great for one person, but as you move down, you see the ecosystem-level effects, more sameness, fewer oddball ideas, and ultimately, homogenization, an erosion of that crucial intellectual diversity. And here is the real danger, the absolute key takeaway. It's not that we'll have fewer startups. In fact, we might have more than ever. The risk is that we'll have fewer truly different ones. We get 1,000 variations on a theme, instead of a handful of radical, world-changing breakthroughs. But listen, it's not all doom and gloom. The paper is really clear that AI is not the enemy here. The key is to use it wisely, to build systems that actually protect variance. So how do we save the rainforest of innovation? The authors propose a really smart three-part solution. First, for organizations, it's about creating dual cultures that balance AI's efficiency with spaces for human creativity and even messiness. Second, for the algorithm designers themselves, they can actually protect productive variance by building in controlled randomness, even if it makes the model a tiny bit less accurate. And finally, for the ecosystem as a whole, that means investors, accelerators, we have to combine AI tools with human judgment, creating wildcard mechanisms to support the outliers an algorithm might just miss. And that leaves us with this final critical question. The tools we are building today are literally shaping the landscape of tomorrow. So what will we choose to cultivate? A biodiverse, messy, resilient rainforest of ideas, or an efficient but ultimately fragile, uniform plantation? The choice is really ours to make.